In this tutorial, we are going to discuss creating adjustments using image adjustment layers. Right now I have our previous file that we used in the tutorial before this one where we did image adjustments. We actually did create separate layers in order to make these adjustments separately to our original image. But we used image adjustments through the menu, from up here through the menu, and we get the flyout on our adjustments to pick. Now, go over to the file that we saved as Andrew Walking 2. All right, in this one, we have not yet changed the background, nor have we created layers, but I'm going to show you a different way to do so. In this one, we can leave our background as we need to, as a background. We don't have to change it. But we're going to use levels. Down here, we are going to use one of our icons down here, and it is create a new fill or an adjustment layer. It looks like a circle with half white, half black. We're going to click and hold. Now, we get the same menu over here that we did when we click on the image menu over at the top bar of our window and go down to adjustments. But over here, we're actually doing this as a layer. And our first one that we're going to play around with, just like in our other file, let's try out our levels to begin with. Now, once I select my levels, we actually get our little histogram control option window over here as a panel. Now we can play around again with our little sliders just like we did before. This part is pretty much the same. It's just looking like a little bit different window. We can change this to our different looks. Down here are some other icons. If you just hold and hover, it will tell us what those items are, things like that. But when we are done with this, there's no OK box. What we can do is go back to our layers menu. And here we can see that on a layer above this background, we did a adjustment layer. And when I do something like this, I can double click. Whoops, I double clicked on the wrong thing. Let's go back to layers. Come to this little icon. And I can double click there. And I come back to my histogram right where I left my sliders the last time I was in here and adjusted this. So I could come back in and adjust again. I won't have to commit to the change just yet. Now then, I can turn the eyeball off on that so that I'm seeing what my original image looked like. And I can come over here and click and hold on my adjustment layer icon. And I'm going to go to curves because last time that was one of the other ones we played with. And I get my little histogram for my curves, and we can play around with all of that kind of fun stuff and do weird things that we did before. Fun things. I'm trying to get more of that solarized look. There we go. Something like that, I guess. And go back to my layers. And you can see now that I have an image for curves. That was my levels. I can turn that back on, and these two together create this interesting piece. There's my original image because that's the only one that I can actually visually see on there. Let's go ahead and do one more. Now, I have these abilities here for my adjustment layers, but I also have a panel over here called Adjustments. And if I use that as opposed to coming over to my image adjustments here, if I use the panel, I have all my little icons, and when I click on them, they will automatically make a new layer for me, if that is true in this version. But I want to go check out one. It's called Threshold. And it's a very interesting one. We just need to come find it. That's black and white, color balance. All of these I suggest you have fun and play with. And can you see where the name changes up here? Here is Threshold. Threshold's a fun one because it actually will take your image information to a straight black and white, a very contrasting piece. And just kind of having some fun with that, trying to leave some detail. You don't have a super lot of control with threshold just because it goes to such stark contrasts. But maybe we have some fun with some changes here. And actually on our threshold, we could turn down our opacity, kind of see through it, see some of those other changes to our imagery in there, just depending on what we have turned on the eyeball or what we don't. Okay, playing with that, playing with your opacity and different things. I can even turn him off. Well, actually on this one, threshold, I can turn up again if I wanted more of that coming through. And then there was another one I was going to go ahead and show you. Let's go to oops, my layers. I'm going to turn off threshold. So I'm back to my background layer that I can see. And up here, I wanted to try out one that is called an invert adjustment. Here it is, create a new invert adjustment layer. You're going to click on it, and there are no options for the invert, meaning that there's nothing we can actually slide and change. But what the invert does is gives us almost the negative. I don't know if all of you ever remember getting your photographs processed at the photography store, and you get that little brown strip of negatives. If you ever held it up to the light, everything was in reverse, where the darkest areas of the photographs would look near white. And it's an interesting one. You can have fun with that, maybe even combine it with some other adjustments. And with this, I can always go back into those adjustments and change them if I need to or if I want to, just to play around and have fun. That's one thing. Until you really get familiar with what all these things do, Photoshop is just something to dive in and have fun with. Sometimes it's very hard at first to really control an outcome to it. So be open-minded about it all. And then with this, until you're ready to actually make a commitment to any one of these, you can go to that layer and go ahead and throw it in the trash, just like we did in the other one. But let's compare these two differences here in the fact that these have the flexibility in order to go back and edit an adjustment layer. Where if we go back to our original file where we were doing our image and adjustments up here from the menu command, I kept them on separate layers, but I can't double click and go back in and pick up where that adjustment was. This is just an option window. I'm controlling the layer, but I don't get to go back to my actual adjustment. So let's go back over here to this one where I can double click and I can go back to that adjustment to move change things. There was one with my levels. I can double click and adjust. All right. Now, with all of these, there's two ways to get to your adjustment layers. Here is the icon at the bottom of the layers box. Click, hold down the button. You got all these different options here. These are actually fill options up there. The rest from here down are your different adjustments. Or you also have a panel here where you can pick on the icon, just hover your cursor over that, and you will find out what each of those are. Go ahead and explore, try them out. You can't do anything wrong to this. There's no prescribed outcome for it. The main thing for this tutorial is to just play around. Now, when you build your composite or work on your self-portrait, I actually want you to explore some more of these and have fun changing your imagery to get some really different looks, playing around with your adjustments. And in my next tutorial, I'll talk about some filters as well. All right. You can save your file as you would like or keep playing around with it.